It's if anyone, well, can't judge someone else parenting journey by looking at their Facebook or Instagram, because
Yeah,
people only share the good side of things.
I
Behind
agree.
is a lots of kind of and different stage you will experience it differently. No, now I'm like the teenage phrase, which is wow.
Yeah, that would be so interesting to hear from you because
Sure,
previously all
sure.
our previous podcasters
Right.
guests quite young, their kids, right?
Quite young.
So I
Okay.
would say yours will be the first teenage father we have been spoken to. Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
can cover a bit on that later on? Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
right.
So, Kingwa, we will kickstart this
All right.
podcast today,
Sure.
and CK, take it away.
All right. So welcome back, guys, to the Two Decks podcast where we talk about all things that. I'm CK, and here is with me is my co-host Aloysius.
Hello, hey everyone. So today we'll be diving into a topic that some parents might face at some point. I think especially when a good opportunity comes by, right? Imagine, you got a good offer job from overseas. So uprooting and relocating a family, whether is it work reasons or personal reasons, I think these are very important questions that sometimes parents don't ask, right? So quick question, CK, will you ever consider uprooting and relocating a family?
Yeah, good question. I actually spoke to my wife about this. We actually discussed, possibilities of relocating and stuff like this, quite early in the day. And the answer is no, right? Just because our family and life is here. So, yeah, that was the biggest reason.
Yeah. So I think uprooting and relocating families can be exciting and challenging. And well, we are excited today to invite King Hua. King Hua was a ex-colleague of mine, so he has previously relocated his family overseas to do work, right? And he's going to join us in today's episode. So King Hua has vast experience previously in the mobile product industry in the early careers. And I think more recently, he's very involved in non-profit space. So welcome to the podcast, King Hua.
Hi. Thanks for inviting me, CK and Aloysius.
Hey, welcome.
Okay, King Hua, let's start with big picture, right? Talking about relocating, maybe discuss with us and share with us, the moment you realized back then when you had to relocate. Were there any initial challenges you faced, and what are all the emotions that went through?
Right. Okay. So I think myself and my wife views of relocating is quite different from CK and his wife. We're pretty happy to be having the opportunity to live overseas, and actually myself and my wife have lived overseas twice. First time when we were just me and my wife, and we were actually based in Beijing, China. So our firstborn was made in China, and but born in Singapore, lah. So just about the time when we decided to move back, then we have our firstborn. So when the second time the opportunity popped up to move to Taiwan, um, it was not kind of like a hesitation or worry kind of thing, but more like a new adventure for the whole family. And it was quite some time ago. My two kids are now actually teenagers, and at that time they were 7 and 4. Yeah, 6 and 4. No, it's 6 turning 7 and then 4 years old. Very young. You'll be surprised actually how adaptable children are, right? So moving from Singapore environment to immerse them in the Chinese speaking environment, I got them into school that is bilingual, but quite a number of their classmates only speak Chinese, and you'll be surprised they pick up Chinese. And when we came back later on, I was at that time quite proud that my daughter she speak pretty Chinese with a proper accent and pronunciation and all that. But it was quickly after back for 1 year, it becomes quite a Singapore Chinese. Yeah. Yeah, so it was as what I shared in the introduction. mentioned, I spent quite a large part of my career in the mobile industry. It was fast moving, lots of innovation, and comes with it lots of opportunity as well. So I was actually started entrepreneurship journey then. Then the Taiwanese company actually contacted me and had a phone interview. At the time, it's still pre-pandemic, not so much video interview kind of thing. So it's phone interview, followed by an opportunity to fly over for in-person interview with the top management of the company. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, it's like just go and give it a try, my manager's manager, who is actually the president of the company, was like, no, do you speak Chinese? And when I say yeah, I do, and then 那我们就用中文来面试吧。was like pretty much switching to the whole interview in Chinese. So I think for Singaporean who kind of like, I really don't like my mother tongue and all that, like to share that, it will come in very handy. So if I wasn't able to communicate, fluent enough in Chinese, I think I would not have that opportunity to actually relocate. Right. So try to have opportunity to practice speaking Chinese, not to be so traumatized by what the kind of experience have as your mother tongue language.
Our mother tongue was was a challenge.
Yeah, it's honestly, actually, like I said, it was the second time I relocated. The first time when I was posted to Beijing, I thought I knew Chinese, right? Because after all, it's like how many years? 12 years of Chinese education, right? And I realized I couldn't even hold a conversation then without mixing in English words, and unknowingly, even some of the words we thought was Chinese wasn't Chinese. Like wet market, we thought it's a pasar, right? But pasar is actually Malay, right? Over there, quite Cai Sichuan kind of thing. So it was quite embarrassing at the time. I took the decision then that since I'm in the country and the guest of the country, it's actually for me to actually pick up the language rather than expecting everyone to communicate to me in English. Although it's actually the MNC company, communication should be English, but a lot of those of the meeting informal are all if you speak only just English, then the relationship will not be as close with your colleagues. Yeah. So it's just immerse in the environment, like the culture, listen to Chinese songs and all that. Then things were you have to enjoy the language. Yeah.
Okay. So what about your wife? Because before, I mean, of course, after you go through the interview, you had to make a decision, right? And what was it like discussing it with your wife?
Right. Yeah. So I think she's open, and we I mean, one thing we're watching quite a bit of Taiwanese program then, right? The variety show, and kind of like now there's a chance to be living there, and we always felt that the strength of Singapore is actually we are quite global. We generally actually mix well with people of different kind of nationality, right? So we thought that for our children is good exposure as well. Quite different from I know many other friends who are like, when there's opportunity to relocate, they kind of like, oh wow, that would be quite disruptive to their children education and all that. On the longer term, it's actually good exposure for the kids, right? And that's just earlier in the evening, I was asking my two teenagers that, so you recall you will live in Taiwan? I say yeah, and then what are the takeaway? So one of the things that they mentioned is the recycling. So now our family since coming back, we are into recycling. In my home, we have two bins, one for trash and then one for
Mm.
recyclable. And I credit that to living in Taiwan, where very into recycling. Everything get sorted out into paper, plastic and trash and all that kind of thing. Uh, and so it does have a lasting impact, even for the for my kids who were quite young then. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I think not much of resistance from my wife, though I do know also family friends and all that sometimes quite different opinion. Like the husband or wife, have quite different opinion about relocation. And some might
Mm.
choose that, oh, you go lah, with the I'll stay with the kids kind of decision, which is I would say just go as a family, right?
Yeah.
And you have this kind of shared memory together as a family in the growing up
Mm.
years of the children. Yeah.
You mentioned something actually quite interesting, which is the whole recycling thing, right? So that
Mm,
is actually a different culture. Going to a different
mm,
country, you express different
mm.
cultures. So
Yeah.
was it challenging at the start? Integrating
Mm.
into a different culture.
Yes, there are certain. So firstly, I think day to day wise, the main language is Chinese, right? Then I think there are some. It's more like getting to know what is the norm, but what we will actually prepare to embrace it because prior to the opportunity, I visited Taiwan for work before, and
Mm.
I recall one incident that kind of um, had a kind of deep impression in me and got me to think that one day if there's a opportunity, I would actually like to bring my family and stay there for you know for years lah, right? And the incident was actually when I was there for business trip prior to the relocation, right? I was walking into a lift where it was a mother with a young child. So a child is like kind of primary school child, and the boy politely greeted me, "叔叔你好," which is like wow. It's like wow, that's very polite. That's something that I don't experience
Sorry, people.
before,
I have
right?
an emergency. My
Nice.
bad, people. We will edit out the part.
Hey, no worries, no worries. Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
So
So let me where were yeah. So was one particular incident where just walking in the lift where there was a mom with a young boy, a primary school
yeah.
boy, and the boy was politely greeting me, "叔叔你好," kind of thing. It's like wow,
Mm.
it's like very refreshing lah. So things I observed like in their MRT, like people giving out seats to those that are elderly and those with disability, very spontaneous and all that. Uh, and I guess quite a lot of Singaporeans actually like to travel to Taiwan because the service culture there is very good. I know
Yeah.
you feel people are polite and welcoming, and yeah, make quite a few friends there as well.
Mm.
So yeah, so not much in terms of like uh, resistance of spouse to say, hey, let's consider
Mm.
otherwise kind of thing. Yeah. Mm.
Mm. Okay. So, logistically wise, right? There are
Mm.
obviously many things to prepare. Are
Right.
there any tips, ideas, or no advice
Right.
you before
Yeah.
beginning that journey?
Yeah, there are quite a fair bit of things to arrange. Uh, yeah, like I myself actually went over first,
Mm,
and one of the priority things is to finding a place that is suitable for not just me, as in like near to workplace kind of thing, but for the family, right? So some of the consideration is like schooling options there,
mm,
so that kind of apartment or place that to stay has to be convenient for work
Mm.
wise as well as to be near schools that are suitable for my kids um, then in Taiwan quite a number of their apartments that's up for rental doesn't come furnished, right? So all so different countries different. Some countries were apartment come furnished. In Taiwan, the norm is actually doesn't come with any furniture, so then it's literally rebuilding a home again. We also have some furniture shipped over from Singapore, but there are some things that have to be acquired there. Then yeah, the company will arrange all the work visa thing, right? Then you have to have a local bank account, for salary, as well as the taking care of local expenses and all that. Another key thing to take note of is medical care insurance, right? Taiwan has a system whereby it's kind of similar to our Medisave, Medishield. So yeah, in fact actually it's more comprehensive, covers a lot of outpatient care as well. But those are areas that need to kind of look around, and talk to local colleagues to find out, what kind of which medical clinic, especially if the kids are still young and when their immune system is still building up, they can get sick quite often. In fact, actually, over there, I still remember an episode of my son having it's called scarlet fever, something that we don't see in Singapore anymore. But over there, he was diagnosed with it, and at the time still too young to know even to how to swallow pills. Right? So was they sell quite a lot of drama and find different ways that can help him swallow a pill kind of thing. Yeah, so medical care is something to consider. Schooling as well. What kind of school, and have to go and look around, because attending their open house and all that. Plus, some of the school over there is more similar to, like, I guess the international school, American school, where the school calendar year start in September. So if your kids is born after September, they will actually be like 1 year later. Yeah. So my daughter we kind of retake nursery kind of twice kind of thing in Singapore. Then go over there still nursery kind of thing. Yeah. So there are things that to consider. There are different country. Their school academic year can be different.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's take it with a sense of adventure. Singapore is really, everything is very organized, sheltered, right? And I think moving overseas as like an expatriate, is nothing compared to like I think back my grandparents hop on a boat from China coming here without like internet, knowing that what they expect in Singapore, or even have a confirmed job kind of thing, and they survive, right? So what more is like in today's we can through internet find out about a country, and then have chance to visit first, and then have a kind of a, whether it's business or job opportunity, kind of confirm there. So don't need to over concern, over worried about, things will work out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important is it, right, to get support, from back in Singapore, your families and even friends in this
Right.
whole situation? Because going
Yeah.
there with family is also one thing, but back in Singapore, you still have your family.
Yeah. So I think the having the extended family, my own late dads and my in-law support is quite critical, right? Because when I moved there first and settled the things there, over here there's all the logistic of packing, right? And then storing away stuff, plus leasing out our apartment in Singapore, right? Quite a lot of things to plan. So like friends, I know friends who are in property agent, I kind of give a call and say, hey, help me find a tenant kind of thing, and then I I think thankfully, family wise, extended family are all supportive, and we also thought like for my in-laws who are retired, then once we settle down there, they actually can come and join us and experience life overseas as well, right? And yeah, so everyone was quite open to it. Contradictory to some other families I know, is like a lot like, oh, you know, especially like concern with destruction to education of the kids. I think that one, yeah, is a bit over concern. I think different school system, they will learn different things. Yeah, and do not underestimate the adaptability of young children. They yeah, they're actually very adaptable. Yeah.
So you talk about do not underestimate child's adaptability, right? So how did the whole relocation actually affect them? Because they are already at that age, they already are aware of the environment, the friends, because they're gonna leave the friends in Singapore,
Yeah.
right? Because they are
Yeah.
in preschool, they have friends, they have
Yeah.
teachers they're used to. But
Yeah.
shifting to the environment where maybe they are no longer using English as their strong communication, but using Mandarin. How did it help them to transit and
Right.
have both you and your wife also help that whole
Right.
process?
Okay. So there was some kind of kindergarten friends who are quite close, and then the yeah I think if I recall, yeah, one of them actually flew over after we moved to visit, take a holiday kind of thing. Then it was also helpful that over in Taiwan side, uh, they were seen as quite exotic, kids that speak quite fluent English kind of thing. So both from teacher to their classmate, kind of like were quite welcoming. Like, it's like wanting to meet friends, and yeah, there was quite not so much of so they quickly make new friends. Then with new friends, then uh, that separation from their previous friend, they found new friendship kind of thing, and that helps. Yeah. Plus, in Taiwan was quite interesting that they have quite a lot of factories in Taipei suburbs and also neighboring city, and quite a number of these factories they have convert part of it into tourism. So for example, on weekends we can go to places where we can experience making pipe tub, right? In a pipe tub factory, we can even go to a glass factory that you can actually brew glass and all that kind of thing, or doing different kind of art and craft stuff, which we don't kind of get to experience in Singapore, and so for them was easy getting new experience. They kind of like excited. So yeah, after a while, kind of forget friends that were from Singapore, yeah.
Do they ever miss home? Have they ever expressed that to you that they want to come back to Singapore?
I don't recall moments where they do. I think it's lots of assignment. Know that they are quite occupied. Then less time to kind of it was great. It was great that the Taiwanese were quite friendly and welcoming. That they believe like what's this? 有朋自远方来, so it's like they well like overseas friends they see as friends that they will try their best to to make them feel at home, because it's a joy to be able to host overseas friends kind of thing. So so overall that helps to make it a pleasant experience for the family.
When you say your kids were not thinking about home and don't feel homesick, I think I can second that, because I was in Taiwan earlier this year, March, right, for about 10 over days. My kids never ask me when are we going home. They're asking what's next.
What's next, right? Yeah.
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 I
Yeah, but
think
I mean
whole
that's a
environment.
short term visit, right? So maybe extended period of time is might be different. Especially what was the longest like period of time they have gone without seeing maybe their grandparents or their uncle aunties?
A few months. A few months. It's
Mm.
thankfully, that at the time, now with Zoom and so many other, at the time already there's what call that, the Apple FaceTime, right?
FaceTime,
So with FaceTime they were able to keep in contact with their aunties and grandparents. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I guess it's like lots of new experience and felt welcome. So less of the homesickness, yeah, setting in kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Congratulations to you.
Talking about adapting all this. So when your family decided that it's time to actually head back to Singapore, what was the whole emotions and feelings? Because
Ah,
going there
mm,
adaptively is easy, right? But
mm.
leaving, was there a challenge in that aspect?
Mm, I had to relocate back because of family reason. Late dad had a stroke, so then I had to make a decision to move back. And I remember the Taiwanese friends who are more senior than me was told me something about so the Chinese language is really quite deep and meaningful. So he was telling me 行孝不能等, which means actually filial piety. You can't wait to fulfill your filial piety obligation. And
Mm,
then the other thing he told me about was 孝顺, which is in Chinese 孝顺 means filial piety, but when you break it down, the two words, right? 孝 means being filial. 顺 is actually to go with the flow, right? Because
mm,
after my late dad suffered a stroke, it wasn't easy to care for, right? He has this frustration on that, and I got advice to like if I want to be a filial son, then I not just always think about from the medical care perspective, but also the need to be going with the flow of what my late dad want kind of thing. Was quite like it. I mean that relatively short stay. We wanted to stay a lot much longer time, but um, life kind of give us curveball that we just need to go with it. And but the short stay influenced me a lot, in terms of things
mm,
I would not have that kind of conversation in Singapore, right? About like 孝顺 and 行孝不能等 that kind of values kind of thing. So coming back here, the challenge of integrating back to the school system is one area. Um, then I think the pace of school in Singapore wise quite fast paced, right? So the adapting back was a bit of a stressful moment initially for my son, was had to really in primary school then. For my daughter was still thankfully still in kindergarten, so still got a bit of honeymoon period. Then coming back also then to what's next in terms of career as well, right?
mm,
Yeah.
I mean, caregiving is the primary reason, but at the same time, career then have to look for other opportunity, uh, and I it was not easy. But I think looking back on hindsight, yeah, it was being kind of forced to take on certain like entrepreneurship lah. So I couldn't find
mm,
something because my aim has always been in innovation, right? And leading teams to ideate the next mobile phone, smartphone, and leading product development, right? And go to market. That kind of role is very hard to come by in Singapore. So other work that I didn't find that will challenge me sufficiently. So yeah, started entrepreneurship and then started also volunteering with the non-profit sector. which then ultimately led me to actually join the non-profit sector years later kind of thing. So I think coming back, the the support system is here lah. The extended family is here, so things will work out. Some logistic because it's a bit unexpected. Then we have to give notice to our tenant that we are coming back. We give as much notice as we can once we confirm we're coming back. And then after that is the reverse journey of moving things back into Singapore.
Given that if there's going to be a third opportunity to relocate again, will you consider at this stage with your family?
It's a yes, actually. Actually, as we speak, my wife is been a few months already that she's actually based in Jakarta. I just visited her over the weekend. I think right now the older boy is in polytechnic. Then my girl is in going to do O-level next year, I think. So I thinking more after her O-level, right? Then if a suitable opportunity pop up, then there's an option that she stays in Singapore with her brother and finish off her poly or whichever she want to embark on, or she relocated with us to overseas place and then she pursue education there. We are totally open to it. I think it's like we all live once and just go experience life, right? And the exposure will be good for the children. The exposure.
I think just now I don't know if I asked this, but how long were you in Taiwan for?
Taiwan only 1.5 years.
Okay. So both your kids studied there for 1.5 years during the duration.
That's right.
Okay. So and anything that you thought you could have done better, or after relocating, did you feel that you kind of regret anything? Second thought, maybe.
I always look forward and not behind. I mean,
fantastic.
I think the not to overthink. I think a lot of Singaporeans try to plan everything. I guess it's in our DNA because of the way our MOE system educate us to be like study and plan and make sure no mistake. I think there will be some mistake here and there. It's like, I could have maybe chose a different school for my kid, or I could have done this and that. But I think just go with the flow and not to overthink it's like embrace differences, embrace uncertainty, and it's not like Singapore. Like Singapore literally can be quite sheltered. Literally, when you look at it, it's like from where I stay, I can walk and have sheltered to the bus stop, and the bus stop I take to MRT sheltered. Until whatever destination is literally sheltered. Right? Literally, and they can get too comfortable, right? Because once you step out of Singapore, things are quite different. And if they're too sheltered, then you lose the adaptability, right? And for our children generation, they will be in a much more volatile, uncertain, kind of world. And it's at least my personal belief is not to over shelter them, over protective for them. Let them learn things by making mistake. Then as long as not so like very critical and all. So things that they don't make mistake, then they can come back and learn from it. Then so I don't think short answer no regrets on things.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
before we move on to the next segment, right, I have one question I want to ask is
Mm.
did your kids Chinese improve after they come back?
Um, when it came back, yes, it's a definitely yes, but was quite disappointing that quickly becomes drop kind of thing. Nevertheless, it has the interest is there. So the
Mm,
last few years, we found a platform where learning online with Chinese teacher from China, and they are learning it like the it started out with really learning the Chinese syllabus. So it
Mm.
was not to prepare them for Singapore Chinese mother tongue exam, was that just to get them to be
mm,
interested in the language. And so yeah, it's at least now like we're planning to our next holiday to be in China, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the past, they are quite like other Singaporean kids that like want to go Korea, want to go like kind of Australia, the kind of places, more Western places,
yeah.
Mm.
and what's there to do in China kind of thing. But now they actually develop interest and quite keen to go
Mm.
visit some of the places that their Chinese teacher has shared with them about. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow,
Which are
that's
the places they are considering?
So
Xinjiang.
Beijing is one.
Yeah.
Xinjiang personally, I would love to go Xinjiang. Then places like Yunnan,
yes.
Chengdu, and yeah, places that they fire off their imagination and they wanted to visit. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I guess that's very important for kids, right? Because I personally grew up did not liking Chinese because I
Mm,
never saw the purpose in
mm,
learning that language. So I never had interest in it. But based
mm,
on your experience, is putting your kids in a different environment, they get to
mm,
feel it, they get to soak it
mm,
in, the Chinese language, and
mm.
yeah, that's how kids find their interest
Yeah.
in things, right? They have to
Yeah.
experience it for themselves. So
It's a
yeah,
culture thing, yeah.
yes,
Because
yes.
the way it's being taught as a second language mother tongue is a
Technical.
lot of, yeah, don't see the purpose of learning a language. Actually, a language you really need to it is an opener to the culture of the country or
Yeah.
of that I mean talk about Chinese is more than just China. It's like there's there are more than a billion
Mm,
Chinese all over the world kind of thing, and it's after all a civilization of few thousand years old.
Mm.
So yeah, and it's need to like the language, the culture, the songs,
Yeah.
the entertainment, right? And that's where interest develop in the language. Yeah,
Yeah.
not the
I,
way it's taught. Yeah.
I resent it because I was the other way around. I grew up in more Mandarin dialect speaking background where
Mm,
English is more like an acquired language.
mm,
And I dislike English. I was failing all along
mm,
in secondary school, F9
mm,
until O level I get a B3. I have no idea how I do
mm,
it, but like what Kenwa shared, right, is
mm,
to get the interest and to like that language. And
mm,
the interest starts is because I think someone helped me. My English teacher helped me to find the interest
mm,
again. I went to read. I went to listen to music,
mm,
and start to be more intentional to
mm,
learn English. And I think yeah, like, it became more like a conversational kind, more fluent along the way. And
mm,
eventually, I lost my ability to read Mandarin. And
mm,
nowadays, like when I was working back then, I was doing procurement, and I need to liaise with a lot of China counterparts, right? They send me all the Chinese words, like having a hard time reading. And back then,
mm,
we don't use WeChat, we use Skype. But now, good like
mm,
WeChat can directly translate. I can understand what. And
mm,
yeah, I
yeah.
think it's coming handy and helpful to have the understanding and that strong level of
Mm,
speaking in terms of how
mm,
fluent you are in reading as well, so that you wouldn't
mm,
use the translation. Because I realized if I use English to converse with the China counterparts, right, somewhere along the way, certain meaning get lost in translation. They meant
mm,
certain thing, but I meant another way. Then I
mm,
realized that when I start to send them voice messages in Mandarin, then we're like, okay, now we know what we are trying to expect from
mm.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and when you speak the other party, there's a common language. The trust and bond build much
Mhm.
faster. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I,
I agree
yeah,
with that.
cannot agree more. Yeah. So yeah, I guess now would be a good time to go into our advice segment. So pun intended. So it's basically advice from dads to dads and to parents basically. So Kinwa, what would your advice be for dads or parents who are about to relocate their family?
Go for it, right? Don't overthink, don't overplan. I mean, online you can find lots of advice in terms of the um, like the more the practical part, like
Mm,
getting visa, the insurance to buy and all that thing. So those information there are plenty that you can find. Uh, but the key thing is to embrace the
mm,
place that you're the culture of the place you'll be going, and not to overthink in terms of what impact will it have on my children education. um, Education is beyond the classroom. Education is the what you experience in life. So having the opportunity for your children to be in a different culture, different environment, um, is a lot more valuable than books or a class that they will enrichment. In Singapore, there's a lot of enrichment lesson. Um, I, yeah, it's there's what Chinese saying is like it's like nothing beats traveling 1,000 miles compared to like just reading books. You go embrace and live in a new place, will bring a lot more knowledge and influence on the children versus just you know staying here and going for enrichment classes. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. I think that's really great advice. Go for it is really something, and not overthinking. I think in Singapore context, a lot of us are always overthinking. Just one school, primary school enrollment, we are already overthinking, right?
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, really so kind of the things parents will do to get their child into the so-called inverted comma ideal primary school. Yeah.
We
uh,
had an episode last week. It's called Good School.
every school is supposed to be a good school, right?
Yep.
Yeah, every school
Yeah.
is good in its own ways.
Mm.
Wow. So that's all the time we have for today. Big thank you to Kenghua for sharing your experience and insight with us on how to relocate, family. And I think your personal stories is really truly inspiring. And that kind of opportunity doesn't come by. And when it come by, you do take it. And that's something that I think even for myself, it's a challenge for me. I think CK is really a straight up no. Wow.
I mean, think of it. Being a parent, um, is it's like something a lot of uncertainty. But we all went for it, right?
Yeah.
So what else can be more scary than having a little life and then oh wow, I never really study prepare for it, So yeah, I just go with the flow, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic
Hoping that there's
advice.
no regrets.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And to all our listeners, we hope you found this episode helpful. If you are facing a relocation or just relocation issues, or you're just curious about what it entails, we hope we gave you some valuable takeaways and advice.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube for more updates. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. So share your thoughts, questions with us, and we might feature them in a future episode.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in to get to that podcast. We'll see you again with another exciting episode.
All right, thank you, and happy parenting,
Yeah.
people.